Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulamiliktanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Binedus Tam Savabhutam Hridayam Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Kiptashtakamari Tarangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapanna Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tavevasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Lila Bhavishta, Om Vishnu Padasta Tarsat Sri Simad Abhaya Charanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, and Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Lila Bhavishta, Om Vishnu Padasta Tarsat Sri Simad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, under our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So, yesterday was the beginning of the Katyayani Vrata, where the young Gopis go down to the Jamuna, performing austerities for 1 month to receive Krishna as their husband. And so, for the next many weeks, we're going to first read from Srimad Bhagavatam with the commentary of Srila Visvanath Cakravarti Thakur. Then also we have a Krishna book by our Srila Prabhupada. We also have Ananda Vrindavan Champu by Kavi Kanapur, and of course Gopal Champu by Sri Jiva Goswami. And we'll read all those versions. There'll be little differences in each one, and that is very common because different perspectives, different visions, and sometimes it's because they're seeing the pastimes. These pastimes are eternal, and they're going on in every day of Brahma and in every universe. And these perfected souls with their perfected consciousness are seeing these pastimes in varieties of ways from their own perspective, but also even different times, different yugas when these pastimes were appearing. So we don't need to become confused if we see some difference. So we're going to read first from Visvanath Cakravarti Thakur, and he is writing obviously from his own realization, but also he was analyzing, just as our Srila Prabhupada does, the acharyas who write commentaries also review and are deeply immersed in the commentaries and writings of previous acharyas. So he had access to the writings of Sanatana Goswami, his commentary on 10th Canto, Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu, and other writings. Sridhar Swami, the original commentator on Bhagavatam. So we'll get a lot of beautiful insights and sentiments from him. So we're going to read all 38 verses as well as the commentary, complete commentary. So text 1 begins, Shri Shukha Uvacha Hemante Patame Masi Nanda Braja Kamarika Cherur Havisham Bunjana Katyayani Archana Vratam. Shukadeva Goswami said, during the first month of the winter season, The young unmarried girls of Gokul observed the vow of worshipping goddess Katyayani. For the entire month, they ate only unspiced khichdi, right? The famous Havishan. So, Srila Visvanath Cakravarti Thakur says, this chapter describes the virgin gopis, unmarried, right? Vraja Kumarika, their worship of goddess Katyayani to attain Krishna as their husband. Also, Krishna's stealing their clothing, Krishna's conversation with them, and fulfilling their desires, and Krishna's praising the trees. Right, the praising of the trees comes at the end of the chapter, and actually it's jumping into the summertime then. He goes from this wintry pastime, and the next pastime he describes is many, many months later. And then that leads into the meeting of the wives of the mature brahmanas, which is an interesting sequence because we get to compare the development and love and kind of prem of the Braja Gopis with those of the aspiring mature Ramanis. So, after describing the Purvarag of the married gopis, such as Radhika toward Krishna in the autumn season, there is a description of the Purvarag of the unmarried Nitya Siddha gopis, such as Dhanya, in connection with the Hemant season. Right, the previous chapter 21 is Venu Gita, all these beautiful statements by the gopis in their reflections on Sri Krishna. Everywhere they're looking, reminding them of Krishna and his flute. Right? So, and Danya, many of these young gopis, as we're going to hear, they are sadhan siddha. They are coming to Vrindavan for the first time based on their austerities and perfection of their bhakti in a previous lifetime. Danya is a Nitya Siddha gopi, right? But she's just a little younger, so she's not married yet. And so she's mentioned specifically in some of the texts. So, Purvarag is intense loving attachment before meeting the beloved. Although, in fact, their loving affection for Krishna as an intimate associate was already established, still the Kanyakumaris, following the ways of ordinary society, performed worship of Katyayani Devi to attain Krishna as their husband. The distinction between these Kumari gopis performing a vrat in the month of Margasirsha and those like Radha is made in the Harivamsa, and the Vishnu Purana, and the Brahma Purana, in such verses as the following, quote, the young unmarried gopis gathered together while it was still dark. Juvatir Gopakanyascha Ratro Sankalya Kalavit. Right, because Radhika and her associates are a little older, and they're already married, and thus they're already experiencing deeply this higher expression of prem, this parakya mood. So, aplutyam basi kalindya jalante chodite rune kridva priti kritim devim anarchur nripasaikatim gandhar mayayar surabir balibir dupadipakai Uchavachais Chopaharai Pravala Palatandulai. My dear king, after they had bathed in the water of the Jamuna, just as the sun was rising, the gopis made an earthen deity of goddess Durga on the riverbank. Then they worshipped her with such aromatic substances as sandalwood pulp, along with other items, both opulent and simple, including lamps, fruits, betel nuts, newly grown leaves, and fragrant garlands and incense. In the Ananda Vrindavan Champu, there's a whole sequence of their offering each of these items one after the other. Shukadeva Goswami gives a more condensed description, but it's there. And now here is the prayer that they're uttering. Katyayani Mahamaye Mahayogin Yadishvari Nanda Gopasutam Devi Pati Me Kurute Namaha. That's their mantra. And then the description, Iti Mantram Japantasta Pujam Chakru Kamarika. So each of the young unmarried girls performed her worship while chanting the following mantra. This is Katyayani Mahamaye Mahayogini Adishvari Nanda Gopasutam Devi Patim Me Kurute Namaha. O Goddess Katyayani, O great potency of the Lord, O possessor of great mystic power, and mighty controller of all, please make the son of Nanda Maharaj my husband. I offer my obeisance unto you. Visvanath Cakravarti Thakur comments, the Gopis prayed, O Katyayani, please make the son of Nanda Maharaj my husband. Now he's going to go into a dialogue, which he often uses in order to expand the understanding. And he says, but Goddess Katyayani may object. When you say, and is this an invention? Is this a literary tool of Visvanath Cakravarti Thakur? Is he just making this up to make a point? No, they don't make anything up. Srila Prabhupada explained that over and over. Sometimes people say, they use Jaiva Dharma as an example, that Bhaktivinoda created this story in order to convey certain philosophical ideas. But no, whatever they say has been seen within the heart. And so they are perceiving and revealing this to us in the purport. So Goddess Katyayani says, when you say please do it, what does that have to do with me? You should be allowed to do whatever you wish in this matter. I, on the other hand, shall simply inspire your parents to do the needful in this matter. Therefore, you should rather use the words, please cause someone to do it, or please give this. Reasonable, right? Make your own effort. I'll inspire your parents. Maybe they'll help out. But anticipating this objection, the Gopis say in anxiety, O great yogini, my connection with Krishna should be immediately arranged by you, without the unnecessary disturbance of my parents. I am too anxious for this, and cannot wait. Besides, Krishna has not taken Brahminical initiation yet, so he is not ready for marriage. Therefore, Goddess, overlook the proper rituals of marriage, and in the Gandharva style, let us marry Krishna immediately. End quote. Such is the implication. And in parentheses, Gandharva marriage, a love marriage by personal agreement, where the couple meets, they put garlands on each other, and they agree we are husband and wife. Right? So they're so eager. And remember, they're actually too young, many of them, to get married, and Krishna's not technically old enough as a boy. Boys are usually a little bit older, right? The girls can get married at a younger age. Even if they're still living in the parents' house, they can be married. But boys should be a little bit older. And so they're saying, no, we have to do this right away. We can't wait. And if we go to our parents, then they're going to insist that the proper rules and regulations be observed. Now their greed and eagerness is perceived. So then Katyayani may object to this. You are thinking of Krishna as your husband and are anxious to have intimate connection with him, even without your parents knowing. How can I possibly fulfill this desire of yours? Oh, this is improper. See? And why is she having this dialogue? Every dialogue is meant to taste prem and to increase prem in all these different ways. So kind of in a teasing way, putting them in a little anxiety to cause this deep love and affection to find higher and higher and varied forms of expression, right? But The gopis reply to this, "Oh, Adishvari, you have all powers. Therefore, nothing is impossible for you." So, we're getting the meaning why they're calling her Adishvari, Mahamaya, right? Nothing is impossible for you, Adishvari. You are Mahamaya, the supreme enchantress. Therefore, by the power of illusion, you should bewilder my parents, so they will not know of my marriage and the secret of my intimate association with Krishna. So then, Visvanath Cakravarti Thakur continues, taking the word Devi to mean divyati, play, it refers to Krishna, who plays and causes one to play, devyati. Therefore, the Gopi says, quote, Devi means Krishna is indeed the husband, so please make him so. Such a status of being a husband can be effected without marriage, and thus there is no harm, even if I'm married to some other cowherd man. So even there, they're expressing, hey, we're willing to go full parakiya here. We want Krishna as our upapati, our fully beloved. Let the other thing happen if it has to be. We just want to be united with Krishna, purely, completely, above all societal constraints. In this way, each of the gopis separately meditates on the meaning of the mantra chanted to petition the goddess Katyayani. In Ananda Brindavan Champu, the gopis pray. So he's read, obviously, this and deeply absorbed its revelations. The gopis pray, O worshipable Devi, please accept this foot wash, padya, and cool off our burning breasts with the water from Krishna's feet. We worship you with this argya, so please give us the association of Krishna, who is Maha-arga, most worshipable. The goddess Durga mentioned in this verse is not the illusory energy of Krishna called Mahamaya, but rather the internal potency, Chit Shakti of the Lord, known as Yogamaya. The distinction between the internal and external potency of the Lord is described in the Narada Pancharatra, in the conversation between Shruti and Vidya. Quote, Mahavishnu's inferior potency, known as Durga, is dedicated to his loving service. Being the Lord's potency, this inferior energy is non-different from him, Mahavishnu Swarupini. There is another superior potency whose form is on the same spiritual level as that of God himself. Simply by scientifically understanding this supreme potency, one can immediately achieve the supreme soul of all souls, who is the Lord of all lords. There is no other process to achieve him. That supreme potency of the Lord, known as Gokuleshwari, the goddess of Gokul, she's known as that, Gokuleshwari. Her nature is to be completely absorbed in love of God, prema sarvasva. And through her, one can easily obtain the primeval God, the Lord of all that be. This internal potency of the Lord has a covering potency, Avaranika Shakti, known as Mahamaya, who rules the material world. In fact, she bewilders the entire universe, and thus everyone within the universe falsely identifies himself with the material body. We can thus understand that the internal and external potencies of the Supreme Lord are personified as Yogamaya and Mahamaya, respectively. The name Durga is sometimes used to refer to the internal, superior potency as stated in the Pancharatra. Quote, in all mantras used to worship Krishna, the presiding deity is the spiritual Durga. So he's going to explain, thus, even though the gopis are using the word Mahamaya, Mahayogini, Mahamaya, this is because their pastimes and their mentality is as if they're ordinary village girls. And in Vedic culture, women would worship Mahamaya. They're thinking they're of this world, but actually they're living in Vrindavan. They're, completely liberated personalities. So there's no Mahamaya in Vrindavan. They're actually praying to the internal potency, but it appears as if they're praying to the external potency because they're following that convention, right? So, just like Mother Jashoda calls the Brahmins to protect Krishna, to purify him with mantras, they follow the social conventions, generally, of Varnashram, because that makes it Narvat Lila, human-like pastimes. But in fact, they're worshiping the internal potency. And that external potency is an expansion of the internal Yogamaya, but her functions are within the material realm, right? So, in all mantras used to worship Krishna, the presiding deity is the spiritual Durga. So they're chanting mantras to worship Krishna purely, so even though they're saying Mahamaya, it's the spiritual Durga they're actually worshiping. This is from the Pancharatra. Thus, in the transcendental sound vibrations, glorifying and worshiping the absolute truth, Sri Krishna, the presiding deity of the particular mantra or hymn, is called Durga. To confuse the Yogamaya Durga with the Mahamaya Durga is a mistake. Furthermore, although the pastimes of Braj are on the platform of pure transcendence, Shuddha-sattva, they somewhat resemble material pastimes in appearance. Therefore, there is no fault in the Gopis' worship of Durga or Mahamaya. Independent thinkers who think that the name of Durga and Mahamaya refer exclusively to the external potency of the Lord have no chance of getting even a touch of the breeze carrying the scent of prem on their body. That's from the Vaishnava Toshini. Okay, so I see no one is hooked up on our other platform. So I'm going to make this introductory class short and stop here so that we can continue tomorrow and they won't miss out so much. And, people see this, it's only 22 minutes, so maybe they'll watch it. So, we offer our obeisance to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, all the assembled Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, our Guru Varga, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.